Committees of the Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly appointed a number of committees to deal with different tasks of constitution making. Out of these, eight were major committees and the other were minor committees. The name of these committees and their chairman are given below. Major committees: Union Power Committee, Jawaharlal Nehru Union Constitution Committee, Jawaharlal Nehru; Provincial Constitution Committee, Sardar Patel; Drafting Committee, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar; Advisory Committee on Fundamental Rights, Minority and Tribal and Exclusive Areas, Sardar Patel. This committee had the following few some committees: Fundamental Rights Subcommittee J.K. Kripalani; Minority Subcommittee H.C. Mukherjee; Northeast Phenomery Tribal Areas and Assam Exclusive and Partially Exclusive Areas Subcommittee Gopinath Bardobali; Exclusive and Partially Exclusive Areas other than those in Assam Subcommittee A.V. Thakur; Northwest Phenomery Tribal Areas Subcommittee Rules of Procedure Committee Dr. Rajendra Prasad; State Committee Committee for Negotiative with State Jawaharlal Nehru; Steering Committee Dr. Rajendra Prasad; Minority Committees Finance and Staff Committee Dr. Rajendra Prasad; Credential Committee Alandi Krishna Swami Iyer; House Committee B. Pathabi Sitaramaya; R of the Business Committee Dr. K. M. Munshi; and Hope Committee on the National Flag Dr. Rajendra Prasad; Committee on the Education of the Constitutional Assembly J. V. Mawalkar; and Hope Committee on the Supreme Court S. Varandichari, not an Assembly member; Committee on the Chief Commissioner's Provenance B. Pathavi Sitaramaya; Expert Committee on the Financial Provision of the Union Constitution Nalin Ranjan Sarkar, not an Assembly member; Linguistic Provision Commission S.K. Dar, not an Assembly member; Special Committee examine the draft Constitution Jawaharlal Nehru; Press Gallery Committee Usha Thatsen; and Hawk Committee on Citizenship S. Vardachari, not an Assembly member; Drafting Committee. Among all the committees of the Constitution Assembly, the most important committee was the Drafting Committee set up of the August 29, 1947. It was the committee that was entrusted with the task of preparing a draft of the new constitution and constitution of seven members. There are Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Chairman; Gopal Nayan Iyengar, Alandi Krishna Y.M. Iyer, Dr. K.M. Munshi, Syed Mohammad Shadullah, Madhav Rao. He replaced the B.L. Mitter, who resigned due to ill health. T.T. Krishnamachari. He replaced D.P. Kaithan, who died in 1948. The drafting committee, after taking into consideration the proposal of the various committee, prepared the first draft of the Constitution of India, which was published in February 1948. The people of India were given 8 months to discuss the draft of proposed amendments. In the light of the public comments, criticisms, and suggestions of the drafting committee prepared a second draft which was published in October 1948. The drafting committee took less than 6 months to prepare its draft. In all, set only for 141 days. Enactment of the Constitution. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar introduced the final draft of the Constitution in the Assembly on November 4, 1940. The first reading the Assembly had general discussion on its field days. Till November 9, 1948, the second reading calls by consideration started on the November 15, 1994 and ended on October 17, 1949. During this state had many has as many as 7,653 amendments were proposed and 2,047,473 were actually discussed in the assembly. The third reading of the draft started on November 14, 1994. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar moved a motion, the Constitution as settled by the Assembly. We passed the motion on draft Constitution was declared as a passed on November 26, 1949 and received the signatures of the members and the presidential. Out of total 299 members of the Assembly, only 284 were actually present on that day and seeing the Constitution. This is also the date mentioned of the preamble as the date on the which the people of India in the Constitution Assembly adopted, enhanced, enacted, and gave to themselves this Constitution. The Constitution, as adopted on November 26, 1949, contained a preamble 395 articles and 8 schedules. The preamble we intact after the English Constitution was already enacted. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, the new law ministry piloted the draft constitution in the assembly. He took a very prominent part in the deliberation of the assembly. He was known for the logical, forceful, and persuasive arguments on the floor of the assembly. He is recognized the father of the Constitution of India. This brilliant writer, constitutional expert, and undisputed leader of the scheduled caste, in also known as the chief architecture of the Constitution of India. Enforcement of the Constitution. Some provisions of the Constitution pertaining and citizenship elections, provisional parliament, temporary and the international provisions, and short title content in Articles 5, 7, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60, 324, 363, 367, 367, 380, 388, 391, 392, and 393 came into force of November 200, 1949 itself. The remaining provisional, the major part of the Constitution, came into force on January 26, 1950. This date is referred to in the Constitution as the date on of its commencement and celebrated as the Republic Day. January 26 are specifically chosen as the date of commencement of the Constitution because of its historical importance. It was on this day in 1930 the Purna Swaraj Day Purna Swaraj Day was celebrated following the revolution of the Lahore session December 1929 of the INC. With the commencement of the Constitution of the Indian Independent Act of 1947 and the Government of India Act 1935, with all enactments amending or supplementing the latter act were replaced. The abolition of privacy counseling jurisdiction Act 1949 was however continued. Ex- expert committees expert committee of the Congress. While election to the Constituent Assembly were still in progress on July 8, 1940, the Congress Party Indian National Congress appointed an expert committee for the purpose of preparing material for the Constituent Assembly. This committee consisted of the following members: Jawaharlal Nehru, Chairman; Mr. Asaf Ali, K.M. Munshi, Gopal Swami Iyengar, K.T. Shah, D.R. Gadigal, Humayun Kabir, K. Santhanam. Later, on the chairman's proposal, it was resolved the Krishna Kripalani be co-opted as member and convener of the committee. The committee had two sittings, the first at New Delhi from July 20 to 22, 1946, and the second at Bombay from August 15 to 17, 1946. A part of the number of notes prepared by its members, the committee discussed the procedure to be adopted by the Constituent Assembly, the question of the appointment of various committee and the draft of a resolution on the objective of the constitution or to be moved during the first session the constitutional assembly on the role of played by his committee in the making of the constitution gradually. Austin, an American constitutional expert, observed it was the Congress Expert Committee that set India on the road to her present constitution. The committee members working within the framework of the cabinet mission scheme made general suggestions about autonomous areas, the powers of provincial governments and the center, and about such issues as the princely states and the amending power. They also drafted a resolution closely resembling the object's resolution.